Goa's crowded shocks and sun-drenched shores only cover a small fraction of the territory. Beyond the reach of the music and neon, the coast dissolves into a network of jagged, isolated cliffs that locals avoid once the sun sets. Tonight, we're looking at a suppressed local secret from that western coastline, a story about what happens when the maps stop. In 2021, 4 friends traveled here from Delhi to escape the suffocating, narrow markets of the city. They weren't looking for the typical tourist experience. They wanted a sense of genuine isolation. That desire for the unknown often drives people to ignore the boundaries established by the people who actually live there. A local taxi driver eventually gave them what they wanted. He pointed them toward a secluded stretch of the coast known as Blackstone Beach. He agreed to drop them off, but he was insistent on one point. They had to be back on the main road before nightfall. When they laughed at his urgency, he offered a specific warning. He told them that if they heard a woman singing from the direction of the water at night, they must never walk toward the sound. Modern travelers often view local warnings as part of the authentic atmosphere, rather than a set of rules for staying alive. The beach matched its name, a desolate, beautiful span of dark volcanic rocks meeting the surf. For a few hours, it was the perfect private landscape they had been looking for. They spent the afternoon capturing photos, focused entirely on their viewfinders. They were so absorbed in the digital versions of the landscape that they didn't notice the horizon darkening until the light was completely gone. By 10 p.m., the isolation became a liability. They had 0 cell reception and a 2-kilometer hike through a dense jungle path before they could reach a paved road. Darkness has a way of turning a wide-open landscape into a cage. They were halfway through the jungle trek when a sound drifted up from the beach behind them. It was a sweet folk melody, rising clearly over the sound of the crashing waves. Amit turned his flashlight back toward the ocean. Standing on the edge of the rocks was a woman in a white dress. Her back was toward them, and she was singing directly into the wind. Rahul started to walk back down toward her, but Amit remembered the driver's warning and held him back. The singing stopped instantly, leaving the group in total silence. Without moving her shoulders, the woman's head began to rotate. It turned past 90 degrees, then 180, until she was looking directly at them over her own spine. Her eyes were solid, pitch-black voids. She didn't have pupils, just a wide, fixed smile that didn't belong on a human face. The group was no longer on a vacation. They were in the middle of a genuine supernatural encounter. Faster, more urgent, she lunged forward, gliding over the rocks and sand without her feet ever making contact with the ground. The 4 friends scrambled into the jungle, running blindly through the brush. They fell, crawled, and shoved each other forward, fueled by pure adrenaline. Behind them, the song they had heard earlier was gone, replaced by a distorted, animalistic shriek that followed them through the trees. They reached the main road 10 minutes later. The exact moment their feet hit the pavement, the screaming stopped. In these moments, survival isn't about logic or courage. It's about reaching a boundary that the thing behind you cannot cross. The next morning, the friends looked through their phones. They needed to see if the camera had captured what they remembered, hoping a logical explanation would appear on the screen. One of the videos showed the beach clearly. In the distance, the woman in white was visible, standing exactly where they saw her. When they zoomed in to see her face, the digital sensor failed. The sand and the rocks were sharp, but her head was replaced by a vibrating, faceless blur of dark static. The footage didn't offer the closure they expected. It left them with a record of a figure the camera was unable to resolve. They showed the video to an older fisherman on the docks. He didn't need to see the zoom in to know what it was. He explained that 15 years ago, a bride drowned at that beach. Local lore says her spirit remains there, calling out to anyone who will listen, pulling them toward the same water that took her. If you ever find yourself on a quiet beach and hear a melody on the wind, remember the warning. Keep walking. Local legends function as a perimeter. They mark the specific boundaries where survival becomes a matter of staying on the right side of the line.